Hello, everyone. Welcome to Health Talk. I'm Evelyn Hatfield. Today, we have a very exciting program, which is somewhat different, but I think you will enjoy it. We're going to take a break about halfway through because we have 4 service dogs here with us today. And I'd like to welcome our special guests. And let me make sure I get the names right, okay? Let me introduce you all. I have Sunny, who is the founder of Caring Angels. And Sunny's therapy dog is Freya.
That's right.
Okay. And then I have Sharon, and Sharon's dog is Isa.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That's
okay.
correct.
Tell us a little bit about Caring Angels. How did that come about?
Well, Caring Angels we provide therapy and service dogs for Northern Virginia. It started with a dream a couple years ago. My daughter was deployed and she came home. She was hurt, and one thing led to another. I wanted to get her a service dog, but I had no idea of the red tape and the hoops that you have to jump through. And I knew there was a need. So one thing led to another. I became a trainer. I went through all the training. Eventually I became a master trainer, and then we have always trained and offered therapy dogs. So we made ourselves official, and we have 80 plus dogs, and we're still growing.
Wow.
And we love this. This one is, I have 4 dogs, but this is Freya, who's
And
sound
Freya's
asleep and upside down. She's had a rough day, but she is a German short-haired pointer. She's about
Okay.
2.5 years old, and she's an amazing dog. She's been able to do some pretty cool work for a very young dog.
Good,
A couple of months
okay.
ago, she finished up a trial with a young girl that was a victim of trafficking, and she was able
wow.
to help with some of the therapy sessions and was able to assist her when she had to go through the trial. So dogs can give a lot of comfort in a time of need.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your dog?
Okay, well this is
Okay.
Isa, and she's a English Labrador Retriever, which means she's slightly smaller than the American Lab, and she has
Okay.
shorter legs and a boxy head. So
Okay.
she's also a very young dog. She's like 2 years and 5 months, and she's been doing therapy work now for almost a year.
Wow.
So she's very quiet and very calm, and she goes into some very interesting places as well. She goes into psychiatric wards and works with children with several different ailments. Some of them can be wanting to commit suicide. Some of them are severe cutters and they burn themselves. Some of them have been sexually abused. Some of them have body dysmorphia and anorexia nervosa. So we work with a lot of different issues that the children have. They have dog therapy with me in the eating disorder ward. They have to eat breakfast before they can come to me. And so they have to be able to do that. And then they come in and they just sit in front of the dog and they stroke the dog, and it calms them, and they just start being able to tell you about what happened to them, and it opens them up. And then I have therapists who are writing down anecdotal notes as the children are talking. So they open up to me and they open up to the dog. So it's pretty interesting. She also goes to Project Healing Waters, which is a fly fishing operation for wounded warriors. And it's a
Okay.
lifetime. Once you join that, you never have to leave. Everything is paid for. And she is their official wounded warrior dog. She goes in there with them. And a lot of my soldiers who go there are PTSD. They have a lot of issues. Most of them have been blown up by IEDs more than once. And they're usually on a waiting list for a service dog. And some of them feel that with their emotional disorder, they don't feel they can actually handle the responsibility of the dog. They need the dog, but they don't know if they can do that. So by bringing Isa to all their sessions, they get to know her, they get to love her, they get to realize that, yes, this is good for me. I like this, and I have time, and I can make the time for this kind of commitment for a dog. So she goes around and helps them. I've seen soldiers lay on the floor with her, loving on her, just acting like they're like 12-year-old boys. And after they finish rolling on the floor with them, I realize with their prosthetic legs, they can't get up. And I didn't even know they had prosthetic legs. And I see them there, and then I say, oh, can I help you up? And they're like, no, I can get up by myself.
Wow.
And they get up. And so,
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm amazed. I'm sure you can see I'm amazed. But I have to ask you this. How do you get them to be so calm and, I know it's training that you have to take
Right.
them through. So tell us a little bit about that training. that
Our
goes
training
on.
program is pretty extensive. They have to have a basic level of obedience to begin with. And the biggest part of a therapy dog, not every dog can do it because it really has to be, part of that is their temperament. They have to be a dog that
Okay.
enjoys giving and receiving affection. They cannot have a bite history of any kind. We take dogs from all different walks of life, but they have to have basic obedience. At a minimum, they have to have acquired their Canine Good Citizen certification through the AKC, and then from there, in order for our dogs to pass, they have to be able to perform in 2 public events. They have basic
Okay.
obedience in 2 public events. They have to go to the fire department. They meet the firemen in their garb. The firemen will come out and go to put their hand out. The dog has to come up and just not panic. They run the gauntlet. They have to go out and hear the sirens. They go to the malls. They go up and down elevators, escalators, stairs. They do a children's reading program. They go into an assisted living, a nursing home, Alzheimer's units. They have to be able to have a meal at a restaurant outside because they're therapy dogs, not service dogs. So they go through quite a bit before they can graduate. But once they do, they
Okay.
become part of the Caring Angels, and then they can go anywhere that they choose to serve. We don't restrict that at all. We have some dogs that work with the FBI. We have some dogs that work with what does Brenda do? The
JDC, the Juvenile Detention Center.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of the same thing. They have to earn the right to see that dog that weekend. So anywhere that we can plug ourselves in, one of the things that we're hoping to do is to get more involved with different therapy organizations as we learn more and more about what the dogs can offer. It's much easier, and Sharon can attest that, it's much easier for someone who's been traumatized to share that experience with an animal that doesn't pass judgment, doesn't
Right.
gossip, and loves you no matter what.
Absolutely. That's what I like the most, of course. I do want you to show me something they can do. I mean, you've trained them. Is there anything you can show me right
Well-
now that they could do?
Believe it or not, they're doing it right now as far as this is a place command,
Okay.
which means all 4 paws in one location. And so
Okay.
they can do that for an extended period. We have some dogs that can sit on a place cot from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night with a lot of traffic and things going on, if that's what we ask them
If
to do.
that's what,
It doesn't mean they have to sit at attention, but they don't pull on the leash, and they stay focused. All of our training is focus-based.
These are place carts
It's a place cot. It's just a
Okay.
tool that we use when we do the training.
to have them sit.
Sit or sleep. They can play. They can eat. They're just not allowed to leave it.
They're not allowed to do anything else other than what you command them to do. Wonderful. So tell me the difference between a service dog and a therapy dog.
A therapy dog doesn't have the same rights for public access like a service dog does. So
Okay.
a service dog is a medical task dog that, for instance, if you were a diabetic and it was a diabetic alert dog, that would be a service dog that is specific to your medical needs. They
Okay.
have to be able to provide specific tasks. And picking up a box across the room is not it. It's really extensive training. But that dog is basically your partner. He goes everywhere with you. He's not denied any access, planes, trains, restaurants. He's protected by the American Disability Act. As a
Okay.
therapy dog, they don't have the same public access rights. So there are some places, like if we go to a restaurant for testing, we actually have to ask permission. If they say no,
Okay.
then we have to respect that and we have to leave because these are not service
Because
dogs.
they're not service dogs.
But as a therapy dog, we take them everywhere and we share our dog with them. As a service dog, that's not something that they do.
Okay.
That's kind of in the nutshell.
Okay. So you have to have their vest that says service. It says therapy dog
PC
on it, and it
therapy,
has a name, and it has Caring Angels on it.
So
Wonderful.
the vests are, in reality, it's more for the public, for the dog, for people to understand that
Know
this
the
dog is
difference.
working in some capacity. One of the things we do is we go into the schools and we teach dog safety, and we to the children how to approach a dog. But they are learning more and more that when you see a dog with a vest, you ask permission. And if it's a therapy dog, the answer is yes, because that's what
Okay.
they're here for. But if it's a service
Gotcha.
dog, we don't pet service
You
dogs
don't
because they're
pet
working.
them. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I choose not to pet any dog without permission.
That's even better. There you
Yeah,
go.
because you don't know, and you all have used them in certain capacities, so that's really important. Thank you all so much for coming. We're going to take a break right now because we have 2 other service dogs that we'd like to introduce you all to. So I really appreciate you all being here.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Well, 4 new guests here, and I'd like to introduce them. Again, the therapy dogs from Caring Angels. And I have with me Susan And Susan has
Cooper.
has Cooper, right? I should have gone this way, but Susan has Cooper right here, and then I have Lynn who has Noodle. And so welcome both of you for coming today.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your therapy dogs.
So Noodle is a pit bull. She's an American Pit Bull Terrier mix. She's a rescue from the Prince William County Shelter. I've had her 3 years now, and she came with a very sweet disposition. She loves everybody and wants love from everybody. So when I got her, I thought, I need to share this. So I found Caring Angels, and I did the testing, and I joined with them, and she's been a therapy dog for almost a year now.
Okay, and she's how old?
She's 5.5.
Okay, great. And what
So
about
this is Cooper. Cooper is a German Shepherd, and he's about 3 to 4. He was donated to us. He was previously in training to be a service dog, and the family found out that they had an allergy to dogs, so they wanted to continue his service dog training and share his service with somebody else, so they donated him to us. He's actually part of our Warrior Angels project.
Okay.
And what that is dogs are donated to us, and trainers donate their time and train them and foster them. And the dogs are then matched and donated to a wounded warrior or a warrior with a family member with a disability.
Oh, wow.
So Cooper has passed his CGC. He is going to be testing with the Caring Angels, and then he is going to find his match.
Okay. So I want to ask you all a little bit more about what therapy dogs do. Tell me a little bit more about what they really do when they're confronted with, with someone who maybe a wounded person in the military, or a child, or anyone for that.
So Cooper is really great in crisis situations, or even like in meeting PTSD people, is that he can just sense when somebody's just not feeling right or they're upset. We recently walked in a victims of domestic violence, the survivors, and it was a 5K walk, and I was starting to cry from listening to the stories that were being told.
Okay.
And he just came over and he just sat on my lap and just leaned up against me just to provide that comfort.
Wow.
And I mean, that's one way a therapy dog.
They have a sense of when somebody is not happy.
Yeah.
So they'll sort of
They'll
nudge you.
go over and they'll just kind of nudge you and be like,
Aw.
pet me, love me. And I mean, going into schools, same thing. They'll sit there and they just love when the kids come over and just love them. And some of the kids need that support because they have a lot going on at home.
Okay.
And they come to school, and the school's kind of their safe area. And then when you bring in the dogs, they just open up and really start to relax and realize that everything in the world is okay.
Oh, yes.
We have a reading program that we do at one of the county libraries, Potomac Library in Woodbridge, and we
Okay.
go every other week, and we often see the same children come every other week. And we come in with it, Noodle goes to that, I come in, I put a blanket down on the floor, and the kids come and sit and read to the dog, because the dog's not judging them if they can't pronounce a word or if they don't know something. And there's this one little girl in particular who came frequently. First time she came, she would sit down and her mom had to read the book to Noodle.
Okay.
The next time she came, a couple weeks later, the little girl read the book, but she was kind of like mumbling and really quiet, and you couldn't really hear her. By the third or fourth time she came, she sat down, she was reading that book like she had an audience. And it was because she felt comfortable around the dog that, nobody was going to judge her. She's like, this is, a safe space for me. And it helps. There have been studies that have been done to show that it helps children learn how to read. If they read out loud, they
Okay.
learn better. And so
Okay.
reading out loud to the dogs, where they're not getting judged, and they can sit there and they can pet the dogs and love on the dogs while they're reading, and it
reading.
really helps them come out.
Yeah, wonderful. That's just amazing to know. And you're absolutely right. Dogs don't judge you because they typically sit and love you regardless.
Exactly.
And
And that's
so-
what these dogs do. They're just here, we say they're just here to give love. We went to Northern Virginia Community College during finals week
Okay.
and brought just a group of dogs and just had them. It was a beautiful day outside. We just had them sit outside while students were on their way into finals or on their way out of finals. They could stop and love the dogs and just get a few minutes of a breath, a release, a stress release, either before they went for their test or after their test. And we had some really positive feedback about that particular event.
Oh.
They want us to come back again because so many of the students said that it really made a difference in their day. I mean, we're talking 30 seconds to a minute to 5 minutes with a dog, and that was all they needed to just
To relax and
just
calm
enough to
down.
realize that, I can take this test, or that test was okay that I just took.
Wow. So do they typically, when you have a situation where someone who's experienced trauma or something, do they typically talk to the dog or they talk to you, or how does that?
It depends on the scenario. It depends on the situation. Right now, we're trying to work with therapists and attorneys to get the dogs into the courtroom, especially for children, but for people who have to testify in court, because testifying in court is a traumatic experience, and it's scary for someone to be,
Yeah.
especially for a child, to be
yeah.
there in a courtroom. So what we're doing is, we're having the person, the child or the adult, whomever it is, meet with the dog first, with the therapist. And if they're there, then really what it is it's just providing a way for whomever it is to just relax enough that they can talk. And they might be talking to the dog. They're not
Right,
talking to
but
us. They
they're
might be talking to the
talking.
dog, but the
Yeah.
therapist is there so they
Okay.
know, or they might be, it
What's
might just be
happening.
enough for them to calm enough and relax enough that they can speak with the therapist about whatever happened. And then our goal is eventually to get the dog, to match the dog with a client who needs the dog, and then bring them into court as well to help relieve that stress and that anxiety going into the courtroom.
Wow, I'm amazed. Tell me a little bit about what is a crisis dog, if you can explain that.
Yeah, a crisis dog, and I'll let Susan explain it as well because she has a good example. But
Okay.
a crisis dog is a therapy dog, but we respond to where there has been a specific incident or a specific crisis that has happened, some sort of traumatic event that has occurred, and we'll come. A fire department might ask us to come for something if, there was, I don't know, a hurricane or something like that, and there were people in crisis and in need, we would come just to offer our dogs as a chance to relax. And Susan has a good example from around
Okay.
here.
So I also work as an elementary school teacher, and a local school, a teacher had passed away, and the kids were, it was very sudden, so the kids were very distraught, and especially that teacher's classroom, they just didn't know what to do. And they asked therapy dogs to come in and just sit with the kids, be with the kids. And they cycle kids in and out and just had them petting the dogs all day long. If suddenly in the middle of the day they were like, I can't handle this, they went down and they just pet a dog and sat there. And
Good.
many of them, I heard, were able to go back to class afterward.
Wow.
So it was in those type of situations where it's just very high stress, lots of sudden things happening, we can bring in the dogs to help take away that stress and to calm
Okay,
the situation
okay.
down.
It sounds like it doesn't matter what age the person is, that it works well
It doesn't
with
matter.
any age.
From young kids, from babies to elderly. I mean, we go to nursing homes and bring the dogs with us. And we hear a lot of stories in the nursing homes of their dogs that they used to have that they no longer have,
Yeah.
either, it was ages ago, or they can't have in the nursing home with them.
Okay.
And so we see a
yes,
lot of faces
yes.
brighten in nursing homes when we bring the dogs, because it reminds them of their pets, and it gives them something to love on, something to do for part of the day, and brings them happy memories, which is nice. So yeah, any age, therapy dog can work with any age.
And that's the same when we go into like hospitals and stuff, is that those people don't get to see their pets at home. They have pictures, but they don't get to love them. So when we bring those dogs in, they are just like opening up, oh, you should see my dog, or my
Yeah,
dog can do this too. Oh, this dog looks like my dog, and oh, I miss mine so much, but I'm loving petting yours. And
Yeah, that's what I was saying when I saw Noodle, because I have a pet also. So, Cooper and Noodle, you want to say anything before we close?
again, asleep.
Right?
I know,
This
but
is-
they're well trained. I just want to thank all of you for coming today. This has been a unique program, and I'm sure just people knowing what your therapy dogs can do is something that could be beneficial. If there was anybody who was interested in contacting you all,
Absolutely. Thank
Absolutely.
you for having us, first of all. And I mean, this is, sometimes people look at our dogs and they're like, well, they don't look happy, they're not doing anything. I'm like, no, they're doing exactly what they're
What
supposed
you
to
s-
do,
yeah.
which is sit and
Yes.
relax, and if someone wants to come up to them. But we're always looking for new dogs, new handlers, new people to join our organization. You can go to caringangelsTherapyDogs.org.
Okay.
Is our website. There's information there, and there's information for how to contact us as well if someone is interested in either joining the group with a therapy dog, or if they think that they might need a therapy dog at whatever particular location.
Okay.
There's information for that as well on the
And
website.
organizations looking to have our therapy dogs come in are also welcome to contact us.
Wonderful. So, Prince William County, I'm sure you will, you've learned a lot, because I certainly have learned a lot. So, thank you all for joining us today.